everything you have. You guys gotta be left on the field. Physically, mentally, emotionally. Because we'll pick each other up as your family does. Let's go.
We are in the desert for Legends Cup 2016. Welcome, fans, inside the booth of LFL Football Night. We've got a great matchup for you for the 2016 Legends Cup, the Seattle Mist and the Chicago Bliss. Now let's talk about Seattle first. We've got a big unknown, and that is the health of Danica Brace. Is she 100% after sustaining the injury versus Dallas in the Western Conference Championship? And for Chicago, they're going to continue to ride the arm of Jacinda Barkley and the legs of the Ferrari Harris. Let's welcome in my broadcast partner now, Bobby Huco. Bobby, a great matchup. A lot of us penciled this in when the schedule came out. What are the X factors for both these two teams?
Well, you mentioned the major players, the ones that are superstars that are going to play tonight. But what concerns me is that running game for Seattle. Seattle's got that thunder and lightning combination. Dominique Malloy, the fastest player in the league, and then the fullback, Stevie Schnorr, 5 yards to carry. They have to play the same way they played when they beat Dallas in that Western Conference Championship game.
Now, that's for the Seattle side of the football. What are the keys for Chicago? We talked about Jacinda Barkley, A.J. Johnson, and Christelle the Ferrari Harris. What are your keys?
I think A.J. Johnson. We know Harris is going to show up. She always shows up in the playoffs. You have a rookie quarterback in the LFL U.S., Jacinda Barkley, but the key is A.J. Johnson. She's developed into the #1 receiver in the LFL. She has great hands, great catch radius, and speed to get by any coverage. They have to get the ball to her early to open up that running game for Harris.
Now, I also like Shabria Civilian on that side of the ball offensively. We don't talk about her much. Now, who's going to police all those weapons for Chicago? It's got to be Danica Brace, right? But we talked about it earlier. She's not 100%. You met with her personally earlier in the week. You've met with LFL medical staff. You've even talked to coaches around the league. So where do we stand with Danica Brace coming into the Legends Cup?
Danica Brace, in 2015, she was the most valuable player, the defensive player of the year. You mentioned LFL medical. That is key. They have cleared her, but I would say she's probably only about 60%. But there's no way Danica Brace is going to stay out of this championship game. She's ready to go tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing her playing.
That will do it for us here for the pregame show. Next up, will it be KK Matheny and Danica Brace going back-to-back in the Legends Cup? Or does Christelle the Ferrari Harris in Chicago regain their glory? Kickoff is next. Back to the Legends Cup here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Tamar Fennell, the Chicago Bliss, trying to regain their glory, while Seattle tries to go back-to-back. Bobby Huco, Mitch Mortaza, and Desi Mitchison.
We have the two Titans in a championship game. It does not get better than this.
Seattle and KK Matheny taking over as we look at her 2016 numbers. Up and down a bit, a 72 QBR. Now a 1st and 10. They're going to try down the field early. That is Dominique Malloy connecting with KK Matheny on a 33-yard reception.
That was quarterback KK Matheny's finest pass of the year. On her pre-snap read, she saw Fry line up inside, showing straight man-to-man coverage. She is the speed demon. Malloy outside one-on-one. Just a perfect pass. What a start for Seattle.
A 1st and goal going back to Malloy. And Malloy getting our first score in the 2016 Legends Cup. A 2-yard touchdown run.
Great blocking at the point of attack. What a start for Seattle. Chicago is in shock right now. That pass by Matheny, we've been waiting for that all season long, just right on the money.
The extra point attempt now, Dominique Malloy lining up in the Wildcat. This will be a 2-point attempt by this Seattle offense. Trying to get to the outside. Great open field tackle. Tamar Fennell, one of the unsung heroes of this postseason run for Chicago.
It looked like it was there. A good stalk block by Bryn Rend on the outside, but Tamar Fennell from the safety position came flying up to stop that conversion. Great play by Tamar.
Now we get a look at Chicago's offense. An offense coming in 4th ranked in the league, but really came on toward the latter part of the season with A.J. Johnson and Jacinda Barkley becoming comfortable with one another.
That combination became one of the best passing combos in the LFL. Now, the question is, in a game like this, Barkley, you see her numbers, great numbers for her first year in LFL US, only 3 interceptions, but can she get the ball to A.J. Johnson against his tough Seattle secondary?
They're going to try down the field just like Seattle. That was attempted for A.J. Johnson. They're going to target her down the field quite a bit.
Johnson had a step on Fowler. Barkley had her there. If she put a little more air into it, it would have been a touchdown for Chicago, just a little bit overthrown.
You get the sense that Chicago offensive coordinator Jim Bruner is trying to stretch that defense a bit to inevitably set up Christelle the Ferrari Harris.
You are 100% correct. You stretch that defense, the safeties goes back, and Harris, she always comes to play in the playoffs. It opens up holes for her.
A 2nd and 10 handoff to Christelle Harris. Nothing doing early. That was Danica Brace. If you wondered about her health, there's your answer. Let's meet the starters for Chicago.
A.J. Johnson, wide receiver.
Shabria Civilian, wide receiver.
Ava Mae Gamble, tight end.
Dina Fagiano, tight end.
Brittany Wilson, center.
Ferrari Harris, B, running back.
Jacinda Barkley, quarterback.
The question tonight is how quarterback Jacinda Barkley handles the pressure of her first Legends Cup game.
A 3rd and 9 play for Barkley, looking to pass, well overthrown. It did not look like Barkley's feet were set, and that ball sailed above Shabria Civilian. Now let's meet Seattle's defensive starters.
Stevie Schnorr, middle linebacker.
Rashonda Fowler, corner.
Shay Norton, defensive end.
Melly Rich, cornerback. Danica Brace, strong safety.
Kim Chafe, defensive end.
Jessica Hopkins, free safety.
As we mentioned in pregame, the question tonight is the health of Danica Brace. How long can she go? Can she make the entire game?
We've got a trips right set now on a 4th and 9 for Chicago. From the shotgun, Barkley back to pass. Looking in the flat, has a receiver. She will not get to the sticks. That was Harris. About 2 yards short, and they'll turn it over. Back to Seattle.
Barkley looked deep, trying to get A.J. Johnson. Good coverage by Jessica Hopkins. Christelle the Ferrari Harris needs to get the 9 yards. She pulled up at 7. A good pass, good completion, but 2 yards short.
Seattle's offense only took 37 seconds in their opening drive. This is an offense built around the run game primarily with Dominique Malloy and Stevie Schnorr. But don't sleep on Brent Renda.
Not at all. Chris Michelson, the head coach, he couldn't be happier about the start of this game. The offense looks great. The defense already stopped Chicago, and the offense is back on the field.
Now a 2-back set. KK Matheny under center. Handing it off to the bull. That is Stevie Schnorr. Schnorr gaining 3 yards. Kim Perez on the tackle.
Stevie Schnorr, she has the big road graders up front. That's what Seattle has to do. Pound the ball with Stevie Schnorr. Open it up for Malloy outside.
Seattle back in the hurry-up offense. They had success with that in their initial drive. Matheny this time in the shotgun. Dropping back to pass with some pressure. A release play. That was intended for Brent Renda. Deandra Fry blanketed all over Brent Renda.
Definitely a penalty on Fry coming across the middle. She almost takes Renda's head off, but it's actually a good penalty. It's going to tell Renda, do not come across the middle anymore like that.
Do not lock in! Huddle up! Huddle the f*** up! See that from a mile away! They're keeping the weak side corner there! You gotta look!
Coach Michelson not happy with KK Matheny's recognition of Chicago's defense.
He's not happy at all right now. He thinks that should have been a touchdown for Seattle. He'll be all over KK all night. He does that all the time. He loves KK Matheny, but when she's not right, he'll be all over her.
This will set up a 1st and goal ball at the 10-yard line. After that Fry pass interference, Fry has been out most of the season for Chicago. A key component in the secondary.
Not a great start, though. She got burnt by Malloy and a big penalty right there.
1st and goal from the shotgun, rolling right. That is a dump off. Complete to Christine Moore. Moore coming out of retirement, a former all-fantasy center with the Mist, now playing tight end.
Moore is a key return as a veteran for Seattle.
Let's meet the starters for this offense.
Stevie Schnorr, running back.
Danica Brace, tight end.
Christine Moore, tight end. Dominique Malloy, wide receiver.
Bryn Renda, wide receiver.
Jenna Weiss, center.
KK Matheny, quarterback.
Going to be interesting watching quarterback KK Matheny. She didn't have a great year. Can she come back and repeat as a champion quarterback?
A second and goal toss play. They're trying to get Dominique Malloy more involved in the offense. Has had a huge impact early. That was only a 1-yard gain.
That's what they have to do. She has world-class speed, and you see a little limp there. That's actually good for Chicago. Hope she's not hurt, because this speed is absolutely incredible how she gets outside. That's a great play. Sealing off the outside, she had nothing there.
A third and goal ball at the 6-yard line. This is a must stop if you're Chicago. You cannot afford to get down to this explosive offense by more than one score this early.
If this offense gets on a roll, it's one of the most potent offenses ever in the LFL. You're right, Chicago needs to stop right now.
A third and goal ball at the 6-yard line. Matheny back to pass. That is deflected by all-fantasy defensive end Chantel Taylor. That looked like a release play to Jenna Weiss.
That was a release play. Chantel Taylor had that smelled out. Great coaching by Coach Hack.
Chantel Taylor headlining a defense that is third-ranked in the league. Let's meet their starters.
Dominique Collins, cornerback. Deandra Fry, cornerback.
Kim Perez, free safety.
Tamar Fennell, strong safety. Kristen Morrison, linebacker.
Chantel Taylor, your DN.
Yashi Rice, defensive end.
Defensive Player of the Year, Kristen Morrison, has to shut down that inside running game of Seattle.
Now a fourth and goal. Chicago did not like what they saw. The Bliss call a timeout, and they trail this one 6-0.
Like your favorite LFL players and teams and receive breaking news stories. The LFL's official Facebook page, facebook.com/mylfl.
Back to the Legends Cup here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Mitch Mortaza and Bobby Huco with the broadcast honors. Seattle leading 6-0.
This play right here is huge for KK Matheny. She has to come through. If they can somehow get in right now, they'll be up 2 scores early in the game against Chicago.
This offense has been getting off to good starts. Did so against Dallas and here early against Chicago. Matheny back to pass, has Danica Brace. And Brace drops the sure touchdown. I wonder if the injury factored in. We met up with her.
Danica, from a health standpoint, are you 100% coming into the Legends Cup?
Dealing with a pretty serious injury, and it's definitely uncomfortable. But you know what? This is a championship game, so I have to do what I have to do to go out there and stand next to my team.
You could see on that play, the injury does come into effect. You got to blame the quarterback a little bit. Knowing her receiver, Brace, has a bad back, you got to place that ball right in her chest. That was a tough catch for Brace with a bad back to make, but in a championship game, you have to make that catch. That would have been a touchdown for Seattle.
Barkley in Chicago taking over from the 5. Looking down the field, has A.J. Johnson in the open field. And Johnson will score.
A.J. Johnson, we spoke about her in the pregame, the ex-basketball player going up for a rebound, it looked like. Came down with the ball. Jessica Hopkins late getting over from safety. Johnson pulls it down. Hopkins flies by her, and she takes it all the way coast to coast for a Chicago touchdown. Wow!
And look at this crackback block that Christelle Harris lays on Melee Rich to really open it up for Johnson.
What a turn of events. That's a 14-point turn. The drop pass by Danica Brace for a touchdown, and then Johnson comes right back for a long score for the Bliss.
A 1-point attempt from the 1-yard line. That's Jacinda Barkley. No shot at it there. Our score will remain 6-6. You said it, Bobby. That was a 2-score turn of events.
Just like that, Seattle could have this game in hand, but Coach Hack and the Chicago Bliss, as always in championships, makes a run in one play. They are back in the ball game.
For Seattle, you've got to answer here. And I think you go back to a Dominique Malloy to set up the long ball to Bryn Renda.
You have to. Dominique Malloy, you're right, stretch the coverage. They know they should go deep. Bryn Renda has not been used except for that one attempt coming across the middle.
1st and 10 as Matheny once again observes that defense. A 2-back set with Malloy and Schnorr again. This time it'll be Malloy getting to the outside. Look at the stiff arm. Working her way down the sideline. That was a 17-yard run.
Trying to tackle Dominique Malloy is like trying to catch a lightning bolt. That whole great blocking up front by the Seattle line, but she gets through it so quick. Watch this, a huge hole, but then she is gone. Bam! She is by the defense of Chicago for a huge game for Seattle.
Give her some credit. That open field stiff arm on Shabria Civilian added another 10 yards to that play.
That's in offensive football, speed kills. Dominique Malloy can kill a defense.
That Malloy run sets up 1st and 10 all the way down to the Chicago 18-yard line. Matheny under center, faking the handoff, rolling right, has a receiver. That is Stevie Schnorr, a 5-yard gain. They love to work the flats in Seattle. You saw it earlier with Jenna Weiss, and now with Stevie Schnorr.
KK Matheny has to get rid of the ball quicker, get the ball to Schnorr so she can run. That was too late.
That is a sight Bliss fans do not want to see. Dominique Collins down on all fours. In case you're wondering, she's the all-fantasy cornerback and has been part of this big run for Keith Hack and this Chicago Bliss.
It looks like she's holding her chest area, with hopefully she's just out of breath, got hit in the chest, out of wind. Hopefully that's all it is.
A 2nd and 5 ball at the Chicago 13. Seattle once again with the 2-back set. This time the handoff goes to Schnorr. And good luck if number 2 gets in the open field. That was a gain of 6 yards, tackled by Kristen Morrison.
What a drive block by center Jenna Weiss. She drove back linebacker Kristen Morrison 10 yards, and Morrison was the defensive player of the year this year in the LFL. 10 yards before she could go horizontally after the ball. Jenna Weiss just destroyed her.
There's a look at Weiss, traveling all the way from New York to be part of this roster. Weiss spent some time with the Tampa Breeze down in Florida alongside KK Matheny and Bryn Renda. So there's that bit of familiarity here in the roster.
And Sage Steinmetz, who's not here tonight, but there was 4 players that came from Tampa.
A 1st and goal dump off. And I'm not sure if Dominique Malloy caught that. They're going to give her credit for the reception, a 4-yard gain.
You have to give credit to KK Matheny, making like Bernie Kosar, kind of sidearm slung it out there. Not a great pass, but Malloy came up with it.
Getting the ball down to the Chicago 3-yard line as we near the 1-minute mark of the first quarter. This game already living up to its billing, a 6-6 battle between the Eastern and Western Conference champions. Now an interesting formation with 3 backs. That's LaShonda Fowler. Pick your poison. Touchdown, Seattle.
That was a full house backfield. You could go any way you want with Schnorr back there, Malloy. And Fowler doesn't get many touches anymore with the emergence of Malloy at running back, but she is a speed merchant of her own kind. She gets the ball, gets around the edge, and gets into the end zone.
LaShonda Fowler, one of those roster players, one of those role players that has been with this organization for a long time, and truly one of the unsung heroes.
Coach Chris Michelson using everybody tonight. We saw Christine Moore earlier, now LaShonda Fowler. Wow.
The extra point attempt no good by Stevie Schnorr. Our score will remain 12-6 Seattle.
Hike it and go in. Oh, it's wide open. But you can't sit there for an hour and then tell everybody you're going to do it.
Coach Michelson still upset with his quarterback. That'll bring us to the end of the first quarter. The Western Conference champion Seattle leading it 12-6. Back to the second quarter of the Legends Cup as Chicago takes over down 12-6.
Jacinda Barkley, she's solid so far. Great pass to A.J. Johnson. As you mentioned, this is LFL football at its finest. Both teams playing good football.
1st and 10. That is Christelle the Ferrari Harris in the backfield. Ball at the 15-yard line. We've got an early penalty. This looks to be a false start on the Chicago offense.
They totally moved too quick, but it's a loud crowd out here. You saw the left tackle move her hand. That's going back for Chicago.
You could see the look of disgust on head coach Keith Hack. He can tolerate a lot, but penalties drive him nuts.
Especially in championship games. He's had a chip, I should say, a boulder on his shoulder all year long since they lost his championship to Seattle last year.
That is Christelle Harris. Only managing 2 yards. LaShonda Fowler on the tackle. We sat down with Harris earlier.
How do you rate your team in comparison to the other 2 Legend Cup championship teams?
You know, those old Legend Cup teams, we just had a lot of, you know, captain, like, leadership from the top. You know, it wasn't just me. We had Heather Furr. We had, you know, Allie Alberts. We had, you know, other girls that could come in there and actually take over and be a leader.
A lot of new faces on this Bliss roster. Very similar results as they're back in the Legends Cup. A 2nd and 13 pass. That's intercepted. Jessica Hopkins jumping the route. And an impressive return of 10 yards. Seattle's back in business.
How many times over Jessica Hopkins' long LFL career have we seen the ball hawk go up and just get it? The ball's thrown behind A.J. Johnson. She actually was open, but she throws it behind. Hopkins jumps all over. What a play.
That is one of the few poor passes I've seen Jacinda Barkley throw here in this postseason.
Absolutely. A.J. Johnson has the wheels to totally get by Jessica Hopkins years into her career. You got to let her run under the ball. Throw it deep, throw it high, and let her run under it. She threw it behind her, allowing Hopkins to come in.
This Seattle offense once again in a position to take a comfortable lead. We saw him ruin an opportunity in the red zone earlier in the first quarter.
This is when KK Matheny has to step up.
Matheny looking to pass, just throwing this one away. She was looking in the direction of Bryn Renda, and you see Renda complaining. It looked like she may have been held there by the outside corner.
Renda totally thinks she was held up. KK Matheny thought she's going to the corner. She was not even close to getting there. Great defensive play by Chicago and Kim Perez.
Perez again an all-fantasy season in the secondary. She's one of the few original Bliss members that dates back to 2011.
The kind of player any coach wants. She's not a hot dog. She doesn't want the spotlight. Just a great, solid football player.
2nd and goal handoff to who? The Bull. And look at the Bull just destroying the China. That time running over to Mar Fennell.
You know what? When you see the Bull do that inside, she gets 5 yards every time she touches the football. The question you asked earlier on the extra point, why do you run the Bull outside when she can do this every play, 5 yards every time inside?
That is one of those mysteries. You feel like you're in the twilight zone when you look at her numbers here. She had 6 scores, most of those being in the red zone. She just has a nose for the end zone.
Between the tackles, she's unstoppable. Outside, they should give it to Malloy all day long, but between the tackles, it's the Bull.
3rd and goal, they're going to take our advice. That is the Bull showing some moves in the open field. And that is a Seattle score.
For a big running back, watch this jump cut. The Bull showing her insignia right there, her logo, the Bullhorns. Watch this. She cuts inside right there. Watch this cut. Boom. Inside for a back that big to make a cut like that against Chicago is outstanding.
That was only a 3-play, 10-yard drive, taking up 1 minute, 51 seconds. So a very quick score offense.
You dance with the one who brung you. Stevie Schnorr being Stevie Schnorr. 5 yards of pop. Great play call by Chris Michelson. Now Seattle is in a dominant position, 18-6.
We will see if they listen to our advice, Bobby Huco. Here's your extra point attempt, and Schnorr is in the backfield. Matheny under center. Now looking for a quarterback draw play. I'm not sure what that was. You saw Stevie Schnorr being set up for potentially an option, but Matheny keeps it. The extra point no good once again. And our score will remain 18-6 after the Hopkins interception.
Follow your favorite LFL players and teams and receive breaking news stories. Like the LFL's official Twitter page, twitter.com/mylfl.
Back to second quarter action of Legends Cup 2016. And Chicago finding themselves in an early hole, 18-6. That's a 1st and 10 toss play to Christelle Harris. And Harris will gain 5 yards.
Good call by offensive coordinator Jim Bruner. After the interception by Barkley, calm down, give the ball to the Ferrari, let her get 5 yards, and get the offense going.
Yeah, I don't think Barkley is advanced enough at this point for you to put this much pressure on her.
Well, you're right. You don't want to put that much pressure on her. First Legends Cup ever. She came over from Australia, and you have Ferrari Harris in the backfield. Let her handle some of the pressure.
Ball at the Chicago 20, a high snap. Barkley looking down the field, now taking off with it, eluding defenders. And LaShonda Fowler making a touchdown-saving tackle. That was a 17-yard run by the Aussie.
This is what separates Barkley from all the other LFL quarterbacks when she tucks the football. She's in the pocket, nothing there. Most quarterbacks, they tuck it, maybe get 5 yards. She attacks. She is a beast at quarterback, 17-yard gain. Wow.
She runs with the athleticism of Stevie Schnorr from the quarterback position. I've never seen anything like it.
You're right. Her upside, she can be as good as she wants to be.
And then just on cue, Bobby Huco, she loses her footing. That'll count as a sack for Shane Norton. I'm sure she'll take those numbers.
Barkley just lost her footing right there. It's unfortunate, but it happens sometimes.
2nd and 5 after that 5-yard loss. Sorry, 2nd and 15 here. Ball backed up to the Seattle 18-yard line. There's Shane Norton coming up with that, what you could call a sack, I guess.
That's why statistics are like bikinis. They don't show everything. It's a sack, but really it's not.
Is that really an appropriate point when calling an LFL game, Bob? 2nd and 15 now. Barkley back to pass, rolling right, has a receiver. And that is complete and lost. Shabria Civilian fumbles it. And Johnny on the spot, Christelle Harris scoops it up and scores for Chicago.
Holy cow, I say it all the time, but big players make big plays in big games. The veteran, Christelle Harris, right at the right time, right at the right spot. Watch this, the ball comes to her. Great play by Barkley, getting the ball out in the flat. Underneath, they strip it, and who is there? The Ferrari, and there's no way you're going to catch the Ferrari. Touchdown, Chicago.
Fowler here on a great open field strip of Civilian. And then look at this opportune bounce right to Harris, and she walks into the end zone. That is the score this Chicago team needed. This is a 6-point game.
It looked easy, but great players follow the play. Harris followed the football and found it on the ground and took it in for 6.
That is another failed extra point. That was a 2-point attempt by Chicago. Our score will remain 18-12. Just when you thought Chicago was out of it, you get a play like that.
The Ferrari, you stay around the football and big plays happen. She could have been way back in the backfield, but she followed the play and the ball came to her.
1st and 10 from the Seattle 15. Sometimes it's just meant to be.
It is, but you have to be there. You have to be around the football. If she wasn't around, it would probably be Seattle ball, but she followed the play.
1st and 10 for the Seattle offense. Ball now at their own 15-yard line. This is one of the criticisms of Matheny, is that she takes entirely too much time to set up the play. From the shotgun, looking to the left side, has a receiver. That is complete to Stevie Schnorr, just looking down at Deandra Fry. Speaking of Matheny, we met with her earlier.
KK, you and Coach Michelson seem to have a love followed by frustration type of relationship. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's really frustration. It's just him seeing something and then me not executing. I respect him so much as a coach, and I know he respects me as a player, so that's why the dynamic works. He's very passionate, so am I, and I think that play translates on the field.
They are both passionate. They're both A personalities. There's going to be a conflict there a lot of the time, but they do love each other.
2nd and 3. A lot of confusion on the offense.
They didn't know the play. They didn't know the play. I know, but We're not lined up in the shovel. She's in the backfield.
Wake the up.
What timeout?
Weak bull on the weak side pursuit on defense, picking your they fumble the ball, and she picks it up by herself and runs in. Because we have no weak side pursuit. Now we get on the line, we don't know what the play is. Wake the up.
There's that dynamic we talked about. There is no love loss. If you don't do something right on that field, Coach Michelson does not care if you won a Legends Cup last year.
Oh, he is a detailed person. He's a perfectionist. And this is the Legends Cup. He hates when people are not prepared. That somebody didn't know the play at the line of scrimmage, that is unacceptable.
That is a reverse setup to Stevie Schnorr now in the flat. That was an awkward-looking shovel pass that sailed in the air. It did manage to complete to Schnorr for 4 yards.
Great improvisation by KK Matheny. There was nothing there. This is great. This is why she's an athlete. She just makes something happen. There's nothing there. She's getting a full rush, just flips it up out in the flat and makes a positive gain.
Not only a positive gain, that is a first down for Seattle. And that's a young lady we haven't talked about, Kristen Morrison, who was named the Defensive Player of the Year. Not doing much here in the Legends Cup.
You got to credit center Jenna Weiss for that. She is totally controlling the Defensive Player of the Year.
1st and 10, ball at the Chicago 24. From the shotgun in the flat, complete. We were waiting for those two to connect. Bren Renda, they finally do, and it's good for 9 yards.
KK Matheny, when her mechanics are on, she can throw as well as anybody. Watch this. She sets her feet, her eyes come in, throws a dart to Bren Renda. Great play by Seattle.
Deandra Fry is just outmatched versus the nearly 6'1" Bren Renda.
Her go-to receiver. You see great numbers, 6 touchdowns, 115 yards, solid season for Bren Renda, but they have to keep going to her. I know they have a lead right now, but you have to keep getting the ball to Bren Renda.
An outstanding target on the outside for KK Matheny, and Deandra Fry just jumped way off sides.
Don't blow the whistle! Hey, that's a free play! Jesus retards, I swear to God.
And that is a valid point by head coach Chris Michelson. That should have been a free play for this offense.
Absolutely. Deanna Fry, I don't know what she was thinking, came off the edge, but she had no safety behind her. That play should have been allowed to continue. It would have been a touchdown for Seattle, but they called the play off.
That is indeed what has been called an offsides on Chicago. That'll set up a 1st and goal at the Chicago 10-yard line. You got to wonder what Deandra Fry saw there. It looked like she almost deliberately jumped off sides, and I don't understand the logic if that is indeed the case, that she did it deliberately.
It makes no sense to do it deliberately. I mean, now you're giving the ball the first down, Seattle. You have over 2 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah, it's not as if you got 30 seconds and you're hoping to get the ball back for your offense. I don't get it.
In the LFL, 2 minutes is an eternity.
Now a 1st and goal. That is KK Matheny rolling right. I believe she was looking for Bren Renda. They were not on the same page there. That will bring us to our 2-minute warning. Chicago clawing their way back into this Legends Cup.
Warrior Black, the official eye black of LFL athletes.
The final 2 minutes of football here in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's the 2016 Legends Cup, and we've got a good one here. 18-12, Seattle in the lead. An opportunity to add to it.
As history will show, Chicago is a great second-half team. This is a huge drive for Seattle. They need points on the board.
Pass intended again for Danica Brace in the flat. And I'm not sure Brace is even able to break on the football. That was underthrown a bit, but I don't know that I would be going to Brace if she's not at 100%.
I agree. Danica Brace, that's a great play. They use it all year long. She catches the ball all year long. But right now, I estimate she's maybe 60%. She can't hardly turn her back. She shouldn't be a weapon used right now in this offense.
I got to question the personnel decisions and the play calling of head coach Chris Michelson, who doubles up as the offensive coordinator for Seattle. It's been a bit suspect here in the first half.
I agree. This team is stacked position by position, and they throw to the injured player.
A 3rd and goal play, and they're going to have a false start here. Seattle just imploding and going backwards.
Coach Michelson cannot be happy with this drive at all. Even though they're attacking Chicago, they're going backwards. And I promise you, as we see every game, Chicago plays great in the second half. You need to pour on all the points you can in the first half.
That is a definite when it comes to Chicago. They're the best at making adjustments at halftime, and they routinely outplay their opponent.
Ask Atlanta. Coach Dane Robinson, right now, he probably still does not sleep at night because he's lost to Chicago. How many times now? 6?
In a game that they were up 25-8 at halftime, Chicago managed to come back to beat them.
Somehow, KK Matheny has to come up with a play, get the ball in the end zone somehow.
A 3rd and goal. That is Dominique Malloy. She has been the weapon for this offense. Malloy does manage 6 yards on that carry.
They run the sweep to Malloy, the speed demon outside. Chicago all over it. This play right now is huge for Seattle.
We've got a timeout on the field with Seattle.
We look like on offense.
Yeah. Did you not hear it? Pick it up. Pick it up.
Right side, the weak side.
Watch brace. All right, you guys know your assignments on trips and twins. All right, let's go. If it's empty, come inside. All right, or if it's single, come inside.
I'm line up extra wide right now.
All right, but if it's empty or single, come inside. You're dropping. Watch that center. Watch it.
There is not a better defensive game planner than Keith Hack. He knows the Seattle offense inside and out, all their sets, who's going to get the ball according to what the set is.
Another red zone opportunity for this offense. 1:30 remaining over the middle. That had no chance. Once again intended for an injured Danica Brace.
Double coverage. KK Matheny threw right into it. She had Malloy one-on-one running across the field, and she threw into double coverage.
The play calling for this offense in Seattle has been questionable.
This offense has more talent than any team in the LFL, and you target the injured Danica Brace twice, your center Jenna Weiss, and Christine Moore, the right tackle, who just came back in the lineup.
Especially when you have weapons like a Stevie Schnorr, Bryn Renda, Dominique Malloy, and let's not forget about Jessica Hopkins. Their targeting of players has been baffling. That's a great sack there by Melee Rich. That'll be a loss of a yard.
May Gamble did not pick up the corner blitz. Melee Rich came off the edge, and she showed she was going to come. Gamble just couldn't get to her quick enough.
Melee Rich, one of the better tackling corners in this league. This is her 3rd season with the Mist, making an impact here in the Legends Cup. A 2nd and 11 play. Barkley down the field, has a receiver. That is A.J. Johnson, almost out to midfield, getting out to about the 23-yard line.
Watch Jacinda Barkley, the way she moves in the pocket, creates time. She waits to the last second. She takes a smack right to the face and delivers a strike to A.J. Johnson.
A hurry-up offense here with under 40 seconds remaining. Jacinda Barkley just clocking it.
AJ was wide open.
Yeah, I threw it to AJ, man.
Tomorrow, no, I'm talking about the one before that. Go play 28. 28, follow. Watch for AJ, okay?
Okay.
Coach Jim Bruner telling her A.J. Johnson is open deep, throw the football. The last time she did, but the play before that, she was wide open. They're going to target A.J. Johnson again.
A typical quarterback coming back with, Coach, I did target her, and I found her.
That's like the receiver coming to the huddle. I'm open. I'm open.
1st and 10, ball at the 23 of Chicago. The clock continues to run under 35 seconds. That is a quick dump off in the flat. Christelle Harris doing exactly what she needed to do, is get out of bounds with 27 seconds remaining in the half.
A good read by Barkley. A.J. Johnson was deep. She didn't have time to set and throw it deep, so she threw it underneath the Harris, which is always a solid pass.
Ball down to the Seattle 15-yard line. An impressive-looking drive here by Chicago as they trail this one by 6 points.
That was a key stop by the Chicago defense that last series, holding Seattle out of the end zone.
You got to wonder, those 2 red zone opportunities coming away with 0 points, if that'll come back to haunt this Seattle team. That was a quick screen in the flat, no chance. And I think Shabria Civilian was better off just dropping that ball.
Absolutely. That Seattle defense had that play snuffed out. There was nobody there. There was no blocking. She was covered, and it was a good thing that she dropped that ball.
Chicago has no timeouts remaining, so that's got to factor into your play calling. And they've got about 15 yards to pay dirt.
I agree with Jim Bruner, the offensive coordinator. Now's the time, with only 24 seconds left, you have to target A.J. Johnson.
2nd and 10, 24 seconds remaining. Barkley in the shotgun, rolling left. Barkley looking down the field, has a receiver, A.J. Johnson. An ugly-looking duck from Jacinda Barkley, but nonetheless the same effect. And we've got a tied football game.
If she can buy that much time, A.J. Johnson, there's no way Jessica Hopkins can cover her one-on-one. She's buying time one-on-one. There's just no way Hopkins can cover A.J. Johnson.
A.J. Johnson has owned Jessica Hopkins here in the first half.
They need to get a pass rush. That's the only thing that can stop it. When she gets that much time, eventually A.J. Johnson will get open. You see her first half stats, 25 yards per catch. That is a game breaker.
Not to mention a pair of scores. Chicago here going for the 1-point conversion, rolling right, looking to Johnson, and she was just torn down by LaShonda Fowler.
That was some weak. He don't know the number because the call was a trap. Wake up. First flag you thrown all god night. Weak. Wasn't even catchable. Wasn't even catchable. Hey, go back to high school.
Wow, it wasn't catchable because she was yanked down by Fowler. It was like a twilly route. You come inside, then wheel out like a back shoulder, but she got yanked down, and it might have been a little bit of a flop there, but it was a good play, good call by the ref.
The ball now should be spotted at the half-yard line. This is what Chicago's known for, is a quarterback sneak, and that is what we're going to get with one of the more physical quarterbacks in the league. Jacinda Barkley converting. Chicago taking the first lead of the game at 19-18.
You really got to like how Jacinda Barkley came back. She got picked off a couple series ago by Jessica Hopkins. You would think in a championship game she might fold, she might crumble. She came right back, came back with a big touchdown pass to A.J. Johnson. That drive only took about 1 minute 9 seconds. 5 plays, 41 yards. They got the points when they needed them. Absolutely. Now, KK Matheny, we were all over all season long. Now, here's the championship game. She got there. I got to give her credit. Seattle is in it, but now she has to come up with some big plays. A 1st and 10. This is interesting. Do you just get into halftime, or do you take a shot down the field? With these weapons, you have to take a shot. Matheny dropping back to pass. Throwing to the right side to Renda. And underthrown. That is Dominique Collins. Collins injured in the first quarter, coming up with a massive interception late in the first half. Bryn Renda had Collins beat. KK Matheny waited too long to get rid of the football.
You allowed the DB to drop because you take forever. I mean, it is forever. They recognized it and then saw them over there and they pushed them back because you're sitting there waiting. Who are you waiting for?
All year long, Coach Michelson's been all over KK Matheny. Get the ball snapped. Don't let them see what we're in. Get the ball snapped quick. They saw the adjustment. They moved the people over. Even with that, Bryn Renda got behind Dominique Collins, and she waited too long to throw the football. 2 mistakes by KK Matheny. Again, an interesting dilemma. Chicago, why not just go into halftime here and not risk a turnover? This is Jacinda Barkley. She has no shot here, as the clock will run down on the first half. I don't know what Barkley's pointing at the scoreboard or the game clock. That is it, young lady. You just blew it. No timeouts remaining. You could see the frustration, but give Chicago credit. They clawed back into the game, leading it 19-18. Back with halftime after this.
I told you before the game started, the basics, the basics. But we want to be cute and think we're going to be a hero out there all by ourselves. You're not. Not one person on this team team can win this game. It's going to take all 13 of you. So stop acting like a hero, because you're not.
A tightly contested Legends Cup as we welcome you back inside the booth. Mitch Mortaza and Bobby Huco. Bobby, Seattle versus Chicago, a pair of powerhouses. We knew we were going to get a good game. It has lived up to just that. Talk about what stood out in the first half.
Just great football on both sides. Seattle played great. Chicago playing like the former champs. But as a former quarterback, I love it when a quarterback dominates a half. Jacinda Barkley, she threw for 111 yards through the air, then followed that up with 30 on the ground. Great first half.
Now, we talked a lot about Seattle's run game, too, coming into the Legends Cup, how key it would be. Talk to us about that.
Dominique Malloy, she ran with reckless abandon all over the football field, but the fullback, Stevie Schnorr, she kind of didn't show up in the first half.
Now, Schnorr also factors in on the defensive side of the ball for Seattle. She was kind of MIA there as well. The big story, as we've been following throughout most of this game, has been the health of Danica Brace and how she's performed here in the first half. What are your thoughts?
You can tell that Brace is definitely injured. She only had 2 tackles in the first half, and she had a hard time pursuing runners like she usually does.
Now, her defense did manage to only give up 19 to a very powerful offense on the Chicago side of the ball. Let's look at the first half scoring. In the first quarter, Seattle got it done on the ground with a pair of touchdowns. First by Dominique Malloy, then followed by LaShonda Fowler. Still in the first quarter for Chicago, it was the home run ball. Jacinda Barkley finding a streaking A.J. Johnson on a 44-yard touchdown pass. In the second quarter, Seattle kept it on the ground, scoring with the MIA, the bull you talked about her, Stevie Schnorr. Where was she? She did manage this 5-yard touchdown run. Chicago did answer in the second. It was Christelle the Ferrari Harris, Johnny on the spot, picking up this fumble by Shabria Civilian, taking it in from 13 yards out to wrap up scoring. Barkley once again connecting with A.J. Johnson, this time from 15 yards out. That brings us to our halftime score of 18-19. Chicago on top. Let's take a look at the first half stats.
These two conference champions, they're playing close in most categories. What's really impressed me has been that Chicago passing game. On the downside for Chicago, they had 3 penalties for 20 yards. And for Seattle, Stevie Schnorr and K.K. Matheny, they have to step up their game in the second half.
That will do it for us here at halftime. 20 minutes remain for us to crown a new Legends Cup champion. Say it with me. Kickoff is next. Back to the Legends Cup, and before we get started, we go down to the field.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Seattle quarterback K.K. Matheny. K.K., you guys fought tough in the first half, but it seemed like you let a couple opportunities slip.
Yeah, for sure. And, you can't do that in a championship game. But we talked about it. We know that what we did wrong, and we're going to come out and execute in the second half. We have 20 more minutes to play. That's a lot of time.
Best of luck in the second half. Back over to you guys.
She is a competitor. She's ready to go. But Desi's right. They started out on fire. First play of the game, I've never seen KK throw a better pass. And then she kind of slowed down after that.
On the other side of the ball, Jacinda Barkley, very impressive first half. Throwing for a pair of touchdown passes, both going to A.J. Johnson. This is a 1st and 10 play. Barkley trying to take off with it. That is Stevie Schnorr. We talked about her having to step up. She's done just that to start the second half.
She's a solid middle linebacker. She is tough as nails. Trying to get by her is like trying to take a bone from a pit bull's mouth.
Schnorr actually moved over to middle linebacker when they moved Danica Brace to rover. Again, another role player that will do basically anything you ask of her.
That move was a great move defensively for Seattle all year. Tonight, not so well because Brace is not 100%, but Stevie Schnorr is playing well on defense.
2nd and 10 for a Bliss offense that has really picked up momentum late in the first half. And just like that, we've got to delay a game. Just when I was giving some kudos to this offense, head referee Jake Gustafson.
Brittany's got to get Brace.
One of the deepest rosters as far as coaching. The Bliss had 3 coordinators and a head coach working with Jacinda Barkley.
That's why Barkley has developed so quickly. Right there you had wide receiver coach Dave Mills. You had DiBiase, the line coach, Pike, the quarterback coach, and Bruner, the OC.
A 2nd and 15 play, back to throw is Barkley. Look at the pressure. That is Melee Rich. What has gotten into Melee Rich? This is the second time that she's blowing up Barkley.
Barkley's got to see that blitz coming. She came from the outside on a blitz. Stevie Schnorr from the inside. You got to throw that ball away.
The dances work. That's about it.
That near sack setting up a 3rd and 15 now. Chicago still backed up at its own 10-yard line. How key is it for Seattle to get a stop here?
Oh, it's huge. For Chicago, on the other hand, not a real smooth first drive of the second half. They could have come out storming, and they're going backwards.
I talked about them having momentum late in the first half. It is not translated here in the third. That is Danica Brace with a great edge rush on Barkley. I don't care how much we talk about Danica Brace being beat up. She's making an impact here.
Coach Hack totally upset at that play selection on 3rd and 15. On the other side, Seattle and their defensive coordinator, David Price, they came out with fire here in the second half. They are all over Barkley.
A 4th and 15. If you give it over on downs here to Seattle, you're going to give them another red zone opportunity.
Whatever Chris Michelson said at halftime, this defense came out on fire.
And here it is, 4th and 15, a little dump off. That had no shot. LaShonda Fowler, shot out of a cannon, just blows up Shabria Civilian.
Usually it's Chicago who comes out in the second half and tears things up. Coach Hack is beside himself right now. That was a horrible offensive series.
That is not how you regain the Legends Cup trophy. This is still a lot of football left. We've got a 19-18 ball game.
Right here, right here. You know what I'm in now? I'm in his because you're up. Go play.
Coach Hack is irate right now. Instead of starting the second half with a solid drive, they've given Seattle a chance to take the lead.
A 1st and 10, that intended for Christine Moore again. I am baffled as to why they're targeting Christine Moore.
I just don't get it. After a turnover like that, you have Bryn Renda one-on-one on the outside. Even if she's covered, throw her the football. KK Matheny, not great stats at halftime, 50%. You have Bryn Renda, just give her a chance.
I think we've given far too much credit to offensive coordinator Chris Michelson over the years. He's had these brain fart moments. You just don't want it happening in the Legends Cup. That is Dominique Malloy getting to the outside and then cutting in, gaining 7 yards. I would go back to the bank consistently, and that is Dominique Malloy.
Dominique Malloy and Stevie Schnorr in the red zone. That's good. He went back to Malloy right there. She's got the speed, inside handoff, coming over that jet sweep. Good block, and they get a solid gain.
A 3rd and goal, ball down to the Chicago 3-yard line. If you've given up 2 red zone opportunities already in this game, this is just gift wrap by Chicago. You have got to convert.
Absolutely. You have number 2 in the backfield. Why not give her the football?
A 3rd and goal sweep play. Great tackle. And there is Kristen Morrison. We wondered where the defensive player of the year was, and there she is.
Great play by Morrison. She read the play. Not much deception. She was in the backfield before the ball was. Great play.
If you wondered why she was named Defensive Player of the Year, as you saw her numbers, 35 tackles, that leads the league, and a pair of sacks.
And also 1 interception. She's a superior athlete, just a super year she had for Chicago. The first half, not so well, but she's coming back here in the second half.
This is gut check time for this Seattle offense. The 3rd red zone opportunity. This is a 4th and goal. Matheny back to throw. And getting chased down by Yashi Rice. The Chicago defense holds.
How many times have we seen this over the years? Chicago's 2 all-fantasy defensive ends. Yashi Rice comes all the way across the field, and Chantel Taylor on the other side, they meet at the quarterback. Great play by both of them.
That is a tandem that could be broken up this offseason. A lot of talk circulating around Yashi Rice, and this being her final game.
I don't know. She still has a lot of gas left in that tank. I'd be surprised to see her retire, but you never know.
Chicago taking over. This is an offense that could now potentially make this a 2-score game.
Jacinda Barkley has to step her game up right now. She had a great first half. Second half, first series not so good, but right now she has to play.
That's Barkley back to pass from the shotgun, doing what she does best, taking off with it and getting shoved out of bounds by Danica Brace, but not before she gains 12 yards.
Jacinda Barkley taking advantage of the injury to Danica Brace. She breaks the pocket, sees a hole. One-on-one, Brace usually will bring her down. She just can't get up to her. A big gain for Jacinda Barkley.
Ball out to the Chicago 21-yard line. Obviously, a lot of time remaining in this game. This could go either way, but you've got to love the momentum that's building behind Chicago right now.
Absolutely. You have to wonder if the offensive coordinator, Bruner, is attacking Brace. He knows she's not 100%.
A 1st and 10, again, a design keeper. Barkley gaining 6 yards. That was Stevie Schnorr and LaShonda Fowler.
The same exact play. Usually, Danica Brace will come. They moved her to strong safety this year. She usually would be right in the middle of that play, but she's not as quick as usual tonight, and that's another big gain for Barkley.
Nearing the 4-minute mark, a 2nd and 4 for this Chicago offense. We haven't heard much from A.J. Johnson. She lit up the scoreboard in the first half. Chicago very content with keeping it on the ground with their quarterback. And that's Seattle wanting a timeout. They did not like what they saw. As we go to break, 1 point separates Chicago and Seattle.
Come here! You got to echo the A. She doesn't know. She's about to blitz. Stay in A and trips. Stay the A all the rest of the game. No more cover 2. They're going to start gutting us up around the middle the whole game.
Chris Michelson wants to get out of cover 2 with the 2 safeties deep. Getting out of that brings Danica Brace up to stop Barkley on those quarterback runs right up the middle.
A 2nd and 4 ball at the 23 of Seattle. Barkley under center, trips right. That is an inside handoff. Dina Fagiano. Fagiano gaining 8 yards. We have not seen her factored into the postseason for Chicago.
Not at all, but you can call her UPS. Once a game, she always seems to deliver. Again, they went after Danica Brace. Dina Fagiano right now is faster than Brace, and she beat her to the outside on a big game.
A lot of young rookie talent has really limited the reps of some of these veterans that have been here for a number of years for Chicago.
Fagiano does not get as many touches as she used to because of the emergence of some youngsters like Brittany Wilson and May Gamble, but when she gets the football, she always delivers.
A 1st and 10 play over the middle. Look at A.J. Johnson. Just sky to bring that down. That is a 10-yard completion. Like you said, she plays this like a basketball player. It's all about positioning.
Absolutely, but it's a chess match. Jim Bruner, I like this. They come out of cover 2, which puts man coverage, Melee Rich on A.J. Johnson, and you can't cover one-on-one, especially with somebody like Melee Rich. Great call by Bruner, great pass, and great catch by A.J. Johnson.
I gave Johnson credit for 10 yards. That was a 6-yard completion. Now a 2nd and 4 at the Seattle 9. Barkley back to pass, a quick dart over the middle. And I don't know why you don't triple team number 18 at this point. They are not even looking elsewhere.
That was one-on-one. That's a good point. I would double up on Johnson, but she was open again. She beat Melee Rich again. It was just a bad pass by Barkley. If she leads A.J. Johnson, it's a touchdown.
3rd and 4. Let's see if Chicago can have success in the red zone. We've seen Seattle turn it over 3 times when they've had the ball in the red zone.
You made a great point. Seattle has to double A.J. Johnson. You have to take her out of the game.
A 3rd and 4 play. Barkley trying to take it in and nearly gets decapitated by number 8. Danica Brace with a touchdown saving tackle. We've got number 8 and number 15 mic'd up. Let's listen in on the collision.
That is the old Danica Brace, but she got there late. Not until 8 yards down the field when Barkley almost got in the end zone. Great hit, but way down the field.
A first and goal. This is a quarterback sneak. That is Barkley muscling her way in the end zone, extending Chicago's lead to 25-18.
You know what's amazing? For years, that series would have been the Ferrari, Crisdell Harris running down the field. She didn't even touch the football that series. It was all Barkley.
A methodical drive, 7 plays for Chicago.
God, we're slow, we're tired, we're out of position. It's so bad.
Coach Chris Michelson not happy at all with his defense. In fact, I've never seen him this laid back. Usually he'd be all over his players. Is that a good sign or bad sign?
I don't like that indication. It means you've given up competing. But I doubt that's what Coach Michelson's doing here. This is an extra point attempt, a 2-point conversion. No good. A.J. Johnson falling short of the end zone. Our score remains 25-18 Chicago.
Wow, it has turned into the Jacinda Barkley, A.J. Johnson show for the Chicago Bliss.
A first and 10. This Seattle offense has got to mount a drive here. They have been absolutely stymied here in the second half. Golden opportunities in the red zone. No points to show for it. Going back to who got him there. That is Dominique Malloy. And this time a great open field tackle by Deandra Fry.
Not a great design play at all. In fact, Yashi Rice is there in the backfield. She just can't handle her. She's so quick, but nobody blocked Yashi Rice.
Malloy having a great first half. They've got to give her more touches here in the second.
They totally have to go back to the basics. What got them the lead in the first half?
A 2nd and 6 ball at the Seattle 19. A dual back set with Schnorr and Malloy. This time Schnorr only managing 2 yards. Kristen Morrison on the tackle. And that'll bring us to the end of the third quarter of the 2016 Legends Cup, with Chicago resurgent 25-18. The final 10 minutes before we crown the 2016 Legends Cup champion in a game that the Seattle Mist trailed the Chicago Bliss 25-18. That is an end-around reverse to Dominique Malloy. Malloy just continuing to deliver for this offense.
I like the play selection. It's basic, but they're giving it to the players who got them there. Dominique Malloy outside and Stevie Schnorr inside. With her speed, you just can't catch her. She has good blocking outside, good stalk block by Bryn Renda. Solid game for Seattle.
Ball out to the Chicago 21-yard line. Obviously, a lot of time remaining in this game. A 1st and 10 for this Seattle offense. Matheny back in the shotgun. Malloy again on the reverse, keeping it. Only managing 3 yards on that carry. It'll set up a 2nd and 7.
If she would have stayed outside, again, she had good blocking outside, led by Bryn Renda. She tried to cut it back, but the blocking was outside.
You could see the energy. She's still got a hop in her step despite 3 quarters of football. I have never seen a physical specimen like Dominique Malloy.
She's having an outstanding football game. Stevie Schnorr is doing great when she gets the football. Just keep feeding them the football.
A 2nd and 7 ball at the Chicago 18. Matheny under center, fakes it to Schnorr. Has a receiver. That is Bryn Renda. Renda with a crossing pattern getting into the end zone.
You gotta love it. They're 3 stars. You got Malloy, you got Schnorr, and now you get it to Bryn Renda one-on-one against Dominique Collins. Basic football. It's a post pattern. Boom. Get open, one-on-one, leader to football, touchdown Seattle. I love that drive.
It is about time they start going to the weapons of this offense. And here's LaShonda Fowler getting to the edge, and that'll be their first extra point conversion of the night.
That is classic Seattle football. You're 100% right. Get the ball to your players that make plays. They did it that drive, and look how easily they scored.
LaShonda Fowler coming through, giving Seattle the 26-25 lead.
They're going to run.
Walk right now. It's like this.
Lala! Lala! Lala!
And you heard Danica Brace saying, I cannot walk out there. She's saying her back is really tightened up on her.
There's got to be a point where you sit her down. I know she wants to be in the game. She's a great player, the former MVP. But if she's hurt that bad and it's hurting your football team, you have to put her on the bench.
A.J. Johnson once again could factor big here. A 1st and 10 for the Chicago offense. Ball at the 15-yard line. Barkley remaining in the shotgun. Back to throw, looking to the left side. Now checking down over the middle to guess who? Number 18, A.J. Johnson. That is a connection good for 11 yards.
That was my point in the first half. Even when she's covered, you can throw with the football. Dominique Malloy was all over A.J. Johnson, reaches down, the basketball player she is, and just makes a great catch.
I don't think there's anybody that can match up in the secondary of Seattle with number 18.
You're absolutely right, but Coach Michelson wants to stay out of cover too. He doesn't want to double up on her. One-on-one, she'll catch the football.
That is a handoff to Christelle Harris. And Harris pinballing her way for 7 yards, setting up a 2nd and 3.
Somehow you knew that she would become a factor in this game in the second half. Christelle Harris always shows up. You can see right there, great player. Every year she shows up in the playoffs.
Not the greatest regular season, but has really mounted a rally here in the postseason.
We mention it because of the emergence of other running backs. She has fresh legs in the playoffs. It showed against Atlanta, and we'll see if it works here in the fourth quarter.
2nd and 3, ball at the Seattle 17-yard line. Barkley back to pass, eluding the rush. Has an open lane. Is going to try the end zone. And getting into the end zone is Jacinda Barkley. What a drive and what conviction for number 15.
Every other quarterback in the LFL would have been sacked. LaShonda Fowler straight up the middle, blitz untouched. Looked like it's going to be a loss of 10 yards. Somehow, Barkley makes a move and gets outside. Watch this. She's done. Fowler has her. She is stuck in the backfield. One quick move, and she is down the sideline for 6 points. Unbelievable play by Jacinda Barkley.
And listen to that collision. She is not afraid of contact. We talked about it in the previous matchup. This is a young lady that's played Aussie rules, which is a very physical rugby game in Australia, and she's brought that here to the LFL.
She's an aggressive runner. She looks for contact. She's not scared to go in through tacklers, and it showed right there. She broke like 4 tackles.
An ugly-looking extra point attempt. That is no good. And we'll go to a media timeout. Behind the legs of Jacinda Barkley, Chicago regains the lead. Back to Scottsdale, Arizona, site of Legends Cup, in a game that Seattle now trails 31-26.
Both teams on those 2 offensive drives went to their top guns. Chicago was Barkley, Harris, and A.J. Johnson, and it worked.
This first down complete in the flat to Danica Brace. And Brace taking a shot from Kim Perez. We've got him mic'd up. Let's listen into this collision. Oh, Bobby, you ever been hit like that?
I have, and I'm telling you what, you don't see that often. Danica Brace is dancing right now, but she got cracked by Kim Perez, one of the surest tacklers in the LFL. Just decked her. Unbelievable hit by Perez.
And there's Brace leaving the field. You don't want to see him leaving, wincing in pain. The real competitors will dance it off and then go sulk on the sideline a little bit. That was quite the hit by Kim Perez.
I know she's hurt, but I have never seen Danica Brace take a hit like that.
A 2nd and 6 after that Brace completion. Ball at the 19 of Seattle. That is a quick bubble screen, trying to set up the lateral.
The old hook and ladder, it was there. A rare bobble by Bryn Renda, the wide receiver. She's supposed to catch a quick hook and then lateral the ball to Danica Brace. It would have been a touchdown for Seattle. She bobbled the ball. Unbelievable. Great call by Coach Michelson, but it did not work because of that bobble.
If, ands, candy, and nuts and butts, and whatever that saying is, Bobby, there have been so many opportunities for this Seattle team to take a lead and really put themselves in a position to win this game.
That's twice. Brace twice, drop one, and there, Bryn Renda with a bobble would have been a touchdown.
Here's Stevie Schnorr, the bull. And Schnorr managing 7 yards on the carry, tackled by Tamar Fennell.
Give it to the mainstay. You know you're going to get at least 5. She got 7. There wasn't a lot of blocking right there by Brayson Moore. On her own, she shredded 2 tackles and got a 7-yard gain.
Not a big fan of how Stevie Schnorr was holding the rock there. But nonetheless, gaining 7 yards. This Chicago defense a little bit on its heels at this point.
What a game. This is like a championship prize fight, back and forth. Both teams playing good football right now.
Oh, and that looked like Schnorr may have jumped. That is what happened. This should be a false start on Seattle. That'll back them up 5 yards. You cannot have those kind of errors.
With less than 5 minutes in the Legends Cup, a veteran like Stevie Schnorr should not do that.
Will you please watch the box? You guys ain't seen it. She cannot be outside the tight end. It's been that way the whole time.
Coach Michelson complaining about the Chicago defense being inside the defensive box. If you're wondering, the box are the 2 defensive ends and the middle linebacker. You cannot have a 4th defender in that box. This handoff going to Dominique Malloy. Malloy will gain 4 yards on the carry. That'll set up a 2nd and 11.
This deep into the football game, Coach Michelson going to his bread and butter. Dominique Malloy and Stevie Schnorr. I love this play selection.
This is what really has gotten them in a position to win. Sure, they've had the deep ball connections from time to time between Bryn Renda and KK Matheny, but ultimately the success of this offense and of this franchise this year has been on the heels of Dominique Malloy and Stevie Schnorr. 2nd and 11 now. Faking the handoff. In the flat is Malloy. And Malloy leaving her feet and being shoved out of bounds by Dominique Collins.
Good pass by Matheny. Good call. You get the ball to a back like Malloy in space. It's guaranteed yardage, but she should have just stepped out of bounds. She was going to get hit. In fact, she jumped. Watch this. She catches the ball. She gets the yardage. Just get out of bounds. You got 5 people going to hit you, and she takes a shot. I hope she's okay.
For someone of her size, she is not afraid of contact. I guess that's one of the more impressive traits, but you have to be smart, to your point.
There was nowhere to go. Just get out of bounds.
1st and 10 handoff. Stevie Schnorr. There's the Defensive Player of the Year, Kristen Morrison, blowing up that front line of Seattle.
That is why she was the Defensive Player of the Year. One-on-one against Stevie Schnorr, brings her down easily, which is hard to do. Great play by Morrison. She really showed up here in the second half.
You could see the look on Schnorr. She wants another shot at Morrison, knowing that they are literally 15 yards away from potentially a back-to-back Legends Cup championship. That will bring us to the 2-minute warning. It has been a back-and-forth ball game. Come back for the finale.
We're not ready. We can't even block on the line, let alone change block schemes. I mean, she came in absolutely. I couldn't believe my eyes. I was.
Go.
Oh my God.
Next play, next play.
All right, watch the lineman release. Let's just go to straight cover 2. Straight cover 2. Kristen, play off. Play off the center.
2-man.
Nobody's in there.
A little bit of strategy as we come back for the final 2 minutes of the 2016 season and the Legends Cup.
Coach Hack going to a basic cover 2. They want Morrison to back up to cover the pipe between the safeties. It's a long gainer needed by Seattle. Let's see if KK Matheny can come through.
Play action. Matheny to the end zone. Has a receiver. No, that's intercepted. Tamar Fennell with potentially a game-ending interception for Chicago.
Just a bad pass by Matheny. She targeted Bryn Renda in the corner of the end zone. One-on-one, that's not a bad target, but simply underthrows the ball. She didn't get hit, way underthrown, 5 yards. Fennell simply came over and caught the football. I don't know what KK was thinking.
My bigger concern would be her placement of the football. You've got a tall, lanky receiver in Bryn Renda. Throw it high and away where she only has the opportunity at it. Don't throw it underneath and then go late. that gives you no chance at success.
Absolutely. We've said it for years. Bryn Renda is one of those receivers that's open when she's covered. Give her a chance. I'm worried if that ball just simply slipped out of her hand, because she can get it there, but it was well underthrown.
What a brilliant move by Christelle Harris. Saw that she was being forced to the sideline and knows the clock is another opponent to Seattle. Cut it back inside, and we're under 1:40 now.
I would not be shocked if the Ferrari gets it every play to get yardage. She'll get positive yardage and to run the clock down.
Seattle only having one timeout remaining. They've got to go for a strip of the football here. 2nd and 12. Handoff again to Christelle Harris, getting to the outside and then cutting inside. And look at the Seattle defenders trying to push her out of bounds. That is a game-ending first down for Christelle Harris.
And I hate to say it, but Danica Brace, I love her heart. I love her staying in the game the whole time. But the old Danica Brace, that wasn't injured, would have made the tackle in the backfield. She was there one-on-one. She was unblocked. She got to Christelle Harris, simply couldn't reach her because of her injury.
That is the one doubt. We don't know what Danica Brace would have done in this game at 100%. It will not matter now as Chicago lines up for the victory formation. And then Brace just taking a cheap shot on Jacinda Barkley.
That is total frustration. She should be penalized by the league. That is simply uncalled for. You have a quarterback in a defenseless position.
When she gives herself up, you can't.
She could have slipped and I gotta go.
Oh, now when she puts her knee and gets herself up, you can't come out.
And I'm going back again. And I'm going back again.
Totally uncalled for by Danica Brace. Jacinda Barkley's in the victory formation, taking a knee, defenseless. You don't take cheap shots like that.
I think it's that moment of realization, knowing that everything you've worked for, dating back to minicamp, training camp, OTAs, all the weights, all the running, all the game film, has come to an end here.
You really have to hand it to quarterback Jacinda Barkley. She came to play tonight. What a game she played. She was down, she got picked off, she came back, and they got the championship back.
What a moment for this franchise. They are 12 seconds away from being the 2016 Legends Cup champions. And with this young talent, you got to believe they're going to be back.
Absolutely. A lot of people counted them out when they lost their quarterback, Heather Furr, and their top wide receiver, Allie Alberts. But with the emergence of quarterback Jacinda Barkley and wide receiver A.J. Johnson, they might be here for a long time.
Do not forget Kristen Morrison. The fact that Christelle Harris still has some tread left on those tires. This is a franchise set up for a big run here.
Absolutely. The coaching staff, the finest coaching staff in the LFL, they had their team ready to play tonight. Their quarterback was ready. The defense was ready. Outstanding preparation by Chicago.
Well, that'll do it for us here, partner. It has been an absolute privilege joining you in the booth this season.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a great season, and the two top teams got to the championship. What a night.
Exactly the way it should play out. That'll do it for us here from Scottsdale, Arizona. For Bobby Huco, our sideline reporter, Desi Mitchison, our producer, Jonas Nordman, this is Mitch Mortaza. We will see you in 2017.